Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of Tom Mods Things, and what a couple of days it's been. 106. We've been out and about in it. We've been driving it around, trying to get a little bit of mileage under its belt, because basically, as it's not been driven at all, we kind of need to just flesh out all of the little things and bits and bobs that could go wrong along the way, and boy have they gone wrong. Typical, really. So first up, we had some issues with some rubbing on the rear end with just how low it is. So anyway, we looked into that, and we've pretty much managed to sort all of that out, which was great. Then we had a load of crashiness going on the front end because of how low that is. So we've had the front up, and we've been messing around with coilovers and the setup up front to get it so that it's not crashy. It's just a pretty solid ride now. So that was all fine. Then randomly, well, we've decided basically in here there's a like a immobilizer key thing, so that sort of sits down in the center console, and effectively that's a old sort of key code thing, so you'd have to turn the car on, the ignition, and then you'd bash in your code, and then light would go green and it'd allow you to turn the car on. Now we just kind of wanted to get rid of it, to be honest, because it's just hassle and it's annoying, and I mean, this is never going to be in a situation where hopefully anyone's going to kind of jump in and start it. So we decided to remove it, which is really easy. It's literally just a case of you get the car going with the code on, and then you literally just unplug it. So we unplugged it, and then the weirdest stuff started to happen. So we sort of then turned the car off, and then, as you know from previous episodes, we had to put a manual fuel pump switch in because when we were stripping out all the Clifford system, we couldn't get the fuel pump to prime. It just would not prime. Even with the key code in, and everything was all like as it needed to be. All the wires were all reconnected, and everything should have worked, but it just would not prime. So we stuck a 12-volt feed straight from the battery through a fuse and stuff, to basically so you can switch it on the dash, and then you know that it's just on. And anyway, so we got out of the car after driving it around for a bit, and then turned it off. I flipped the pump off, and then I went to put the ignition on, and then lo and behold, suddenly the pump started whirring away in the background, and so I didn't even know it was a thing. I haven't seen any evidence online on any of the old forums to say that this was something that would allow that to happen, but in essence, since removing that immobilizer like key code thing, the fuel pump wants to prime when you turn the key, which means that the switch is completely redundant, which is slightly frustrating, but hey ho, you know, it's fine. It's good to have a failsafe in there anyway, so if anything was to go sort of back to the way it was, you know, I'm just learning with these sort of old French modified cars that actually there's a lot of stuff that just sort of happens and no one really knows why. And so anyway, it's just one of those things, one of the joys of ownership, should we say. So anyway, so that's been going on. And then we were supposed to be going to a show today, Fitment Farm over in Bristol, and everything was buttoned up and it was all sorted. We jumped in the car this morning, and lo and behold, retainer pin let go on the front brake caliper. So mega lucky again that we drive this carefully anyway, because it's one, really low, it's two, full of fiberglass, so we need to make sure that nothing gets damaged or whatever, or vibrations and stuff, and then three, obviously we spent bloody ages getting this built, so we just want to be really careful about it. So we just sort of just pulled out a driveway, started cruising up the road, and then heard a clang, and one of the retainer pins for the front brake pads had let go, and one of the pads went bloop and plopped out onto the floor. So anyway, that wasn't great, so we limped it back home again, and we've ordered a load of spare parts because I didn't carry any spares stupidly of that stuff. I'm learning now that you need to carry spares of those little bits. So anyway, so we got to wait until the week because we're on a bank holiday at the moment for those bits to turn up. But anyway, in the interim, we were looking around for parts on Facebook Marketplace as per usual, and we found something that this car has been needing for a while. So I'm going to rotate you around quickly. I've done a bit of work on this already, but in essence, you'll know that the back of the car currently doesn't have a lot in, bar the Venom wheel sitting in the back of it and stuff, because as I say, we were going to drive this to a show, so we were just kind of getting it ready. But anyway, we ended up picking up, ta-da, an old dimmer show cage type thing. Whether it's a genuine dimmer, I've got no idea, but Facebook Marketplace, stupidly cheap. This was 30 quid, which is nuts, because I've been looking at these for a while, haven't found any for sub £100. So yeah, 30 quid round the corner, picked it up. Now it's looking a lot better than it was when I first got it. I've been sat there polishing away, just to kind of get a little bit of shine on it, so that when we chuck it in, hopefully in a second, we get the full look. But yeah, not too bad. We're missing fixings and stuff for it, so we're going to have to go through our bin of like stuff to see if we can find some that will fit. But yeah, I reckon this sort of nicely shown in the window is going to be pretty sick, to be fair. I mean, it's just aesthetic, it's got no functional purpose really whatsoever. It's just effectively like sticking a vent on the car, which yeah, we've done anyway. So yeah, so effectively what we're going to try and do now is we're just going to try and piece this stuff together. There's a couple of bits where some of the rivets have been drilled out, and I don't know, so we're going to sort that stuff out anyway. We've got some brackets that look like they need tidying up, as you can see here. But yeah, so actually, yeah, that's a good point. So that, look at that and go, yeah, that's not really looking like it lines up with that, and that's because we've just spent ages working on this. So anyway, right, without further ado, I'm not just chatting to you guys on a camera, let's crack on and get it in the car. Right, so first things first, we've got to undo this one up here, same on the other side, and then we've got to take up our false floor that we've got in here at the moment, because I think the mounting points for what we need are going to be sort of down in this area, underneath this bit. I think it uses like the original mountings for the seats and stuff, so yeah, so basically everything that's underneath this nice floor. So yeah, we're going to take these bits out first, and then we're going to whip the floor up, and then we're going to start to measure it up and make sure that it's going to fit.
A few moments later.
Right, I think Facebook Marketplace may have struck again. Let me show you what I'm trying to deal with, but I think we've got a little bit of a problem. Alright, so as you saw, guys, so this is obviously the cage that we had picked up. Now, from looking at it, I was told 106, they had a 106 on the drive, so the assumption was that it was definitely the right one to be going in there. Kind of looking the right way around, because I'd expect it to dip back based on the doors and stuff. But what I'm finding is I'm doing everything that I can to try and get this positioned right, so I would expect it to maybe sit like this, but there is just no way that this is going to fit in it. So I've got no idea, but this is definitely, I don't think, made for this particular car. So we've got a little bit of an issue. So I think what we're going to have to probably do, if we're going to want this to fit, is we're going to have to effectively chop the legs off of this so that it can lower down a little bit more, so that we can kind of make it fit into that hole there, and then it's kind of just going to be floating on that rear edge, which I guess we can tidy up and it should be sort of reasonable. But there's just no way to get this to fit, so if we wanted it to kind of get further down, it's going to end up pressing up against sort of other pieces. But yeah, so I think it just doesn't feel like it's 100% right. So anyway, we're going to see what we can do, and we can see if we can get this in. But yeah, for the moment, and also from the pictures online and stuff, I can't seem to find any pictures of this where it's got this like little kink in here. Didn't really check and stuff, to be honest, but yeah, my thinking is that this may not actually be for a 106. But we're going to try and make it work anyway, because you know, we try and do that with everything in here, considering we've got Porsche seats in it now, Porsche rear bumper, and so yeah, let's crack on and let's see what we can do. Right guys, so I think we're reaching the opinion that this is definitely not meant for a Peugeot 106. Let me crack on round the side here and show you what we're looking at. I think we can make it work, but yeah, annoying, missold, didn't realise, but anyway, it doesn't look too bad. So we're kind of in at the moment on this side. I've got this one kind of in place loosely as well, just up on here, but when we're looking at, I've left it over the other side, 2 secs. Right, but when we're looking at this crossbar that goes between the two, and I'll try and do this one-handed, absolute skillage going on at the moment. So we're kind of loosely in one side, right, but then look at the gap that we've got on this end. So yeah, I would say without a doubt, definitely not meant to fit this car. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to sort of try and undo and get these bars sort of extended out slightly on these ends to try and take up a little bit of room. And then also what we're going to do is we're going to chuck the brackets which sit kind of here for the sort of going between the seatbelt mount and stuff. I think if we can bend this so it kind of brings everything inboard slightly. Kind of what we might end up being able to do is kind of just tweak the two sides in just enough to get this to work. Yeah, slightly annoying to be honest, but yeah, hey ho, one of those things. Let's see what we can do to make this work. Catch you guys up when we've either made progress or it's going in the bin. Right guys, okay, so it's not the prettiest, and I think we've got an idea of what we can do to make this better, but it is in, and everything is kind of locked down in place. It's not going anywhere, but it's not perfect, and kind of I'm not entirely sure how I feel about it at the moment, but I think that some of that is going to be down to the fact that I need to get some of the wood back in the car to kind of block out where all the dynamite is. But let me show you what's it looking like at the moment. Alright guys, so from the inside of the car, we're kind of in. It's kind of in position. We need to work out what we're doing about mounts at the bottom, because the mounts we've got with it definitely do not fit this. And I'll show you that in a sec. But yeah, as we come around here, this is the bit that we're kind of missing at the moment, is this kind of joint between these two pieces, not fully in there. And this is kind of, it's making me wonder why this rivet had been drilled out previously. I just thought it was because they wanted to take it apart, and this was typically riveted together. But I'm thinking now that that's what they did to actually get this to fit a 106, and so strictly not meant for one. And so it's kind of, yeah, okay, it fits a 106, but it's because you've bodged it, or at least cut it up. So yeah, I mean, from the outside it kind of gives off the effect of what we were looking for, I'd say, but I'm really not happy with that joint up on this top side, so we're gonna have to sort something out. So what I'm thinking is I'm gonna measure this pipe, and effectively I'm just gonna order a section that's going to be the correct length for this. And so what that'll do is take up that gap that we currently see there at the top between those two joints, and I think as soon as we do that, that should then kind of tie all this in and make it work. But yeah, I mean, it's okay. It kind of does what I think I needed it to do, which was to just show a bit of chromy goodness coming through the window, and it was only aesthetic. It was never gonna, these things aren't functional, it's just purely for looks. So from that point of view, I guess it's done what I've kind of was thinking it would do from yeah, the reason why we got it. So yeah, as you see it there through the rear window, we left the dimmer stickers on for the moment because, I don't know, old school and stuff, but we may take those off because this does need another pass of polish and stuff on the inside, because it's not as shiny as we'd like it to be. So yeah, I guess 30 quid, kind of happy, kind of not. It's a bit of a bittersweet moment really for this, but it's not the end of the world, and we can probably just about make it work. Yeah, it's just one of those really. But anyway, so onwards and upwards with that. We can move on to a look over this. Right, so Kingdom bumper, been making real progress on this at the moment. Ignore the fact that it's all a bit patchwork, and just kind of feast your eyes on kind of how smooth everything kind of is now. So yeah, this whole section's been built and smoothed back now. I think yeah, you guys that have been following from when we first got this car and seeing what an absolute state this bumper was in, will be able to agree that this is looking a million times better. So we've done the same on here. We've just been shaping the underside of this so that we get a bit better match on each side, and then we've just been doing a little bit of work on this centre section. But this is kind of getting towards the stages now where we can start slapping a load of primer over the top of it and wet sanding it and getting it kind of all ready with like nice trim edges and stuff, so then it can go back on the Saxo. And then same principle, this is kind of all the side panels and stuff. As you can see, we have gone ahead and started bonding back on all of our metal clips all the way along. So we've got new plastic tabs because they'd all snapped, new clips because they'd all broken off, hence why all these bits are kind of off the car at the moment. We're still waiting on a couple of more clips that I've managed to find from the Pug Bits, who did the work on the 106. They found a load of spare ones they had knocking around, so chucked them some money for postage, and they've kindly posted them out to me. So hopefully, fingers crossed, some of the numbers match, so that we've kind of got some of the missing ones that are here, and there's a few across the top here, and then some down here, and then we're gonna have to kind of pick off all of this sealant they've used, because clearly the clips have gone missing on these front fenders. So yeah, we're going to try and get the actual clips back on, because that would be great. But if not, then failing that, we do end up going back to the old trusty Tiger seal, and they'll just never come back off again. But that's not the end of the world. Right guys, back at it again. Apologies for the wind noise, but we're back with the Saxo, where we've been doing a load of work on the front brakes. We've had a couple of new bits turn up, so we're going to clean everything up and hopefully get all the brakes and everything sorted today. So going to crack on with that, and I'll catch up with you guys when we've made some progress. Right, so we've got it back together, so the brakes are at least back on temporarily. Everything's kind of all buttoned up to hopefully allow us to have a little bit of braking. Say apologies for the wind noise in the background. So what we're going to do is we're probably going to jack it up. We're going to get the wheel back on and see if the brakes work on this front, which will be good. But yeah, there's definitely some cleanup that we need to do. We're probably going to replace a lot of this stuff anyway, but at least to get it to a point where we're able to bring it over to the garage and swap it over with the 106. We kind of want to have brakes at least so that we can sort of use the brakes when we're trying to get it on and off of the trailer, because it makes it way easier. And then we've also got a jump pack today because as you saw on the last episode, we couldn't actually get it started because for some reason it's decided that the fuel pump doesn't want to prime. So we're going to delve in and have a look at that in a second now. Right, so rooting around the back of this thing, basically looking at the fuel pump situation, because as you saw on the last episode, we weren't able to get it running again because for some reason the fuel pump wasn't priming, even though we actually hadn't done anything to it. So anyway, suspected basically that the fuel pump's decided that now is the time that it doesn't want to pump anymore. So what we've been doing is I'm here with my trusty cheap jump pack off of eBay, a couple of spliced wires on our positive and negative. I absolutely love these things. These are so useful to have around the garage if you just want a quick 12 volts just to test anything, whether it's a stereo or any sort of pump or mechanism or lights, indicators, that sort of thing is great. So for this, what we've done is we pulled the plug off, and then effectively we've just been adding a positive negative to come across the 2 points on here to effectively prime the pump straight away without having to basically get the pump going as it is, without worrying about the rest of the system, and it basically just clunks and locks in place. So I think that's pretty much confirmed that it's a faulty fuel pump. I don't know whether this has ever been changed in this car, so we're going to get another one on order, and then hopefully we can just chuck that new one back in, and then happy days, we can just plug this back in, and then we've got the car running again. So yeah, and then once that's happening, we've got the brakes all rigged up, been going around on the brake pedal, and it stiffens up again. So yeah, that's all working, which is great. So it means that as soon as we get this fuel pump primed, we can at least move it, drive it around, stop, and then get it loaded on a trailer and brought back over to base so that we can get cracking on the rest of the stuff, the bodywork and bits and bobs that we've been doing in the background. So yeah, so all really sort of coming together, which is great. Right guys, and I guess that is probably going to be it for now, to be honest. So we've done obviously all the show cage stuff on the 106, and the brakes and bits and bobs that we're having to reorder for that because we had a slight hiccup with some bits that needed replacing. Then Saxo wise, got the caliper and brakes all rigged up again, so it actually has brakes, which is great. Nice solid pedal again, which is awesome. We've diagnosed the fuel pump to be the issue because it's not priming. I think it's just seized, which is why it was blowing fuses as well, because that now makes sense. And oh yeah, and we got the Rip Speed goodness fitted up front, nice big screen. So been sat in here listening to tunage while the sun has been out and while it's been so windy as well. Then we've got a couple things that are in the background at the moment. These seats might be going, so we were always going to retrim this interior. Somebody wanted some OEM seats, and so we've got these sort of early VTR seats in here, including the rear bench and everything, and they had some Cobra bucket seats with runners and seat mounts and everything for a 106 Saxo, and because we're heading up north next weekend, that's where he's based, so we might, as long as we've got enough time to get these out of this car, basically whip these seats out, and then we can take them up with us, which will effectively do like a straight swap, which would be cool. So that would mean that yeah, we'd just swap these over and then frees up all the rear space, which we're gonna, I think, be doing a big install in the back of this anyway. And we don't need rear seats in this, it's pointless. So we can strip all that stuff out like we did on the 106, and then yeah, we'll make a little bit of money on the back of that as well potentially. So yeah, that's great. So yeah, so this and the 106 are probably going to be doing a bit of a swap pretty shortly now. So the 106 being pretty much complete bar this this little brake clip thing that needs to turn up, and then this Saxo will effectively take its place. So it will go over to the house, to the garage, and then we can really start to work on this in the background. There's tons of bodywork to delve into, loads of stuff to get sort of nitty gritty with. And there's some loads of wires and stuff that we're gonna have to strip out for all of the sound system that used to be in the back of this, because we're gonna upgrade and replace it. And then we've got some retrimming to do on these door cards that have all gone a bit saggy and stuff on each side, so we're going to retrim those in a nice material, and then match that in with whatever we do in the back, and then for the seats as well. So yeah, all coming together. So yeah, cheers everyone for watching. Stay tuned for more content. As always, like and subscribe and stuff if you want to see more of this, and I will catch you guys all on the next one. Take care and see you later.